Good morning, Unity in Marin. This is Choir Sunday, and it's really nice to see all of you. I'm going to call out a friend of mine. His name is John Torres, and he is the founding minister of the church where I used to lead the choir in Guerneville. And we're going to sing a song that you're going to sing with us called Stayed on Freedom.
I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Said I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Well, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Walking and talking. I'm walking and talking with my mind. Stay on freedom. You know I'm walking and talking with my mind. Stay on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 Singing and praying with my mind. Stay on freedom. Well, I'm singing and praying. You know we're singing and praying with our minds. Stay on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 You better walk with your mind. Stay on freedom. You better walk with your mind. Stay on freedom. You got to walk with your mind. Stay on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 We're gonna talk with our minds. Stay on freedom. Oh, we're gonna talk with our minds. Stay on freedom. Gonna talk with our minds. Stay on freedom. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I'm the Rev Medora. Gordon, how good it is to see all of you here this morning. I was thinking earlier and on my way in this morning what a special day this is, because we have a lot of things going, and instead of the usual things, I'm going to ask you to think about something differently in the silence today. We are Unity in Marin, and the founding families and all the boards and the current board, the ministers, all of us have this vision that Unity in Marin is a center for the study of metaphysics and practical spirituality. That is who we are, that's what we do, and the vision that we have for ourselves is that we are the leading center for that on the West Coast. So when we talk to you of our vision, that's the vision. This is my elevator pitch. If somebody says, "What's the vision?" The vision is that we are the leading center for the study of metaphysics and practical spirituality on the West Coast. So can you all say that? Let's say it together. I'll lead you. Okay. Unity in Marin is the leading center for the study of metaphysics and practical spirituality on the West Coast. Thank you, because that's who we are. So now you have that elevator speech too, if somebody says to you, what's unity? So as we come together now in the silence, let us think about what that looks like. Let us dream the dream of what unity in Marin is. I was supposed to tell you that the reason today is so special is all the pieces that have come together. First of all, we have our choir. They're beautiful, and clearly they had a memo about wearing red, which they did not share with their minister. So they have to remember that, but our beautiful, wonderful choir is here. And then we have our talk this morning that's all about words and how it dovetails with the Reader's Theater, that the event is at 1 o'clock for the meet and greet, and then the event starts shortly thereafter. It all weaves together today. And so today is an example of all the things we are and a vision of all the things that we can be going forward. So let us come now together in the silence and dream. And so it is. Amen.
Open to the presence now. Love is in this place. Open to the light within. Feel God's peace and grace. Open to the presence now. Love is in this place. Open to the light within. Feel God's grace and grace.
Good morning, Unity in Marin. My name is Lisa Starbird, and I'm very happy to be able to be here leading you through the service today. For those of you, many of you have asked me where I've been on Sundays lately, and I've been supporting my aunt in Sacramento. She has to move, so I've been going over on the weekends. I'm still here on Wednesday night, so you can see me there, so come see me on Wednesdays. But anyway, just so that you know, I'm really glad to be back and back here with you today. And as Medora just said, Unity in Marin is the leading center for the study of metaphysics and practical spirituality on the West Coast. That has a nice feel, doesn't it? Yeah. So you'll see behind me a slide of the Youth of Unity. We have an active family ministry here, and if you know any families who have kids, be sure to let them know so that they can come and be part of our community as well. At Unity, we consciously came up with a vision statement, and please join me and say this together. We are a spiritual community committed to authenticity and the expression of love and support for each other in living an awakened, enlightened life. And from that vision statement, we came up with 3 core commitments. They are to connect, grow, and serve. The first one is to connect. Please say this. We connect with spirit, each other, the community, and the world. See, I forgot. We connect. Let's say it one more time so I can say it right. We connect with spirit, inspiring each other, the community, and the world. Absolutely. So today is a very special day. We're talking about Juneteenth and what the program is going to be afterwards. And we have a video that's going to say it a lot better than I can.
World, we're missing some of the role models at the top to really show us what it means to be just and fair, to honor people for who they are, how they are, in the packages that they come in, and that we need more role models And we had them. We had them there. We had Supreme Court Justice Earl Warren. We had Thurgood Marshall. We had the members of the NAACP. We had the people who were supporting them, the expert witnesses who testified and who wanted to bring forth information because they felt it was important to end this injustice. And we had the plaintiffs who stepped forward and risked the fact that the court would say no, and that they had to go back to their lives after that, knowing that they were fighting for something that was going to be for a greater good later, because there were many denials before the court case actually ended up where it was. And so I became more and more fascinated by that. And then when I met Deborah Warren, and she said, I heard that you were working on a play, and I wondered if by chance you were wondering about why the unanimous decision was something of importance, and whether or not you might be interested in the memoirs of my, oh my gosh, I really want to do this some justice, and yes, of course I want to read the memoirs. And then I couldn't stop reading the information. And the thing that was so incredible to me was that it tied in so closely with the dissertation that I wrote for my doctorate about how our ideologies shape us, and our ideologies as decision makers shape the decisions we make. And continually throughout his memoirs, he kept saying, this is who I am. How would someone think that I would view this matter any differently? This is how I grew up. This is the person that I came to be. And that's such a role model for being an honorable person of integrity, and that I really wanted to come out in the play. And then it became really important that we could just unpack it a little better.
So today, Cindy Acker has written this wonderful play. We have a Readers Theater who will be doing this incredible program. We'll have a meet and greet out in the narthex at 1 o'clock, and then the play will start shortly afterwards. So you want to stay after the service for this very powerful program that Cindy has brought together for us here today. Nancy Foster will be talking about the Enneagram, the different types of the Enneagram this Wednesday night. Every Wednesday night is very different, and we have a lot of diverse speakers. So this one will be, if that speaks to you, be sure to show up this Wednesday. And next Sunday, we have a very special party. It's to say goodbye to Heidi and Steve Listug. If you don't know, they are moving to North Carolina, and they've been here in the community for over 40 years. And so next week, they really would love you to be here so they can give you all the hugs and talk to you, because they can't see everybody that they want to see in individual time slots. So if we can all be here to support them and say goodbye, that would be a wonderful send-off. And there will be a barbecue and some music, so it's going to be a really fun day as well. So be there next Sunday after the second service. I'd like to invite Momo, our prayer chaplain, forward at this time. And Momo brings forth the prayer box, and it's filled with all of your prayers and their joys and their concerns, their challenges, but all the prayers in the box are, our team here prays over them for 30 days. Then we send them off to Unity Village, where another team prays for another 30 days. So it's just really a very special thing. And the candle here is lit to remind us of the divine light that is in each and every one of us, and that the essence of our being is love. Thank you, Momo. The Daily Word is a wonderful practical tool that provides inspiration through affirmations and testimonials. And it's a great tool that we can use each and every day. So I invite you to get comfortable, put your feet flat on the floor, and just take a deep breath in and exhale. And just becoming present in this moment in time. I'm going to read the daily word, and then we're going to go into a couple minutes of silent meditation after that. Today's daily word is spiritual journey. I continue my spiritual journey, one with Spirit. My life is a spiritual journey that began long before my birth. I am on an eternal spiritual journey that leads me ever more deeply into an awareness of God's presence, awareness of oneness. For when I have not been seeking, God has always been there. The psalmist asks, "Where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence?" No matter how far I thought I strayed, a renewed awareness of God has always been as near as my next thought. When I have felt stuck or even lost on my spiritual journey, many times the thought of God has helped me find my way again. As I continue my spiritual journey, I go with God, for wherever I am, God is. Into the silence. From Psalm chapter 139, verse 7, "Where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence?"
So our songs are about freedom today, and this one has to do with the fact that sometimes in our journey for freedom, we have challenges with our own worthiness. And so this song is called "I Am Worthy."
I
Yes, indeed, we are worthy of freedom. Welcome to Unity in Marin. Will the ushers come forward with the welcome packets? This is the time for all of the people who are here either for the first time or the first time in a long time. Oh, you're going to be busy this morning. There's only one of you. Now there are two. Would anyone who is here only for the first time please raise their hand? There are some people over here, people with Gloria and Ron. Welcome all of you, and welcome also all of the people that are live streaming. I was thinking about it, those of you that are fortunate enough to be in this room, think about your friends that aren't here, that have computers, that could live stream this amazing service. The Reader's Theater will also be live streamed. So it's a whole part of a piece today. So it's important to me that you think about that and think about the people that aren't here. If you've got them on your telephones, send them a quick little text and say, maybe you want to turn into this, because this is special today. Also welcome our love streamers that are from all over the world. I'm thinking this morning about my friend Joseph Dean. I don't know how many of you remember Joseph, but he lives in Bangkok. And he tunes in and watches us on the archive, because it's like, 2 in the morning or something in Bangkok. But it's wonderful to have friends that have been here, that aren't here anymore, but that I know are watching us on the streaming. So thank you for being here. Thank you for coming for first time. Please come back. And again, whoever we are, wherever we are from, whatever our journey, we are all welcome in this place. Thank you.
So as Rev Medora is thanking all of you, I also want to take a moment to thank the tech team up there for all that you do for us. You guys are you work your magic all the time, and we see you and appreciate you for sure. And as well, Cindy Acker, who is the director of our choir. Amazing. Jason Myers on piano. And our wonderful Unity in Marin choir. So they sing once a month, and you too can be part of the choir. They rehearse every Tuesday night, and then they sing once a month. So and no auditions, so go be part of the choir. It's a lot of fun. Our second core commitment is to grow. Please say this with me. We grow in consciousness through education, healing, and prayer. And on Mondays, we have a Monday meditation with Reverend Sandra Merlot. If that speaks to you, please feel free to come and be part of that. And now if you would please stand as you are able and join us in singing our statement of truth.
There is only one power, only one presence, active in all my life and in the universe. God the good, in all, through all, and over all. There is only one power, only one presence, active in all.
Our next song is a medley that I put together as a song called I Can Only Imagine, along with a little bit from the song Glory from the movie Selma.
It's all a little different up here with the choir, and I'm thrilled to have you, truly. I can only imagine. Indeed, our words do so definitely make a difference. We're talking about our words today. The emphasis is because this afternoon is Reader's Theater, and the Reader's Theater piece is the premier presentation of a piece written by our very own Cindy Acker. It's called Words That Make a Difference, Brown versus the Board of Education, the case that won. This case hung on a few words, just 3. We'll talk about them at the end, but remember that. Just 3. When we step back and we look at Unity in Marin, I think you can begin to feel that there is a rising tide of social justice here. Both Tim and I feel strongly about it. We think that part of being and living the spiritual life is that we are engaged in things of spiritual justice, and that it creates an intense, focused heat that isn't found if you don't have it. The world can go on without social justice, but it doesn't really go on well. If we step back further, we remember that unity is biblically based. There, I said it, I got it out. Now everybody can run screaming from the room. Okay? Oh dear, someone really is leaving. I don't think we mean it. We are biblically based. The Bible is our basic text, and every person, place, thing, or event has some meaning to each of us for our spiritual journey. And for those of us that incline towards Bible scholarship, that's me, the Gospel according to John, which is the text that I'm using this morning, is some of the most interesting and some of the most, dare I say it, confusing part of the Bible. You've got the Gospels, you've got Matthew, Mark, Luke. They were all written roughly the same time period. They were all written roughly the same geography. They all sort of stole from each other. They took this story and that story and put a twist on it. And it's all kind of, you know, if you know one, you kind of can figure out the others. And then out of nowhere comes the Gospel of John. Now, the first 3 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, they were all written roughly 30 years after the crucifixion of Jesus. So let's give that the 60s, 60, 70 CE. The Gospel of John is written 150 years later. And it isn't written, they don't know who wrote it. The scholars they don't know. They don't have any idea. And they do know that it came out of the country, that it was up closer to Syria. You might call it northern Israel, right in the middle of all the warfare now, right in the middle of where a lot of the, fighting about borders is going on. They think maybe there was a school of metaphysical thought up there that wrote this. They're not sure. So why it's kind of stuck in with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it isn't really clear why the canon of the Bible put it where they put it, but the fact is they did. So just to keep you sort of in track, as the way the Bible developed, there were the original documents, all right? These are little pieces now, or little pieces of papyrus that they found in caves, and that all kinds of things have happened. And those were the things that people used for the first 300 years. So 0 to 300, if I wrote a letter and gave it to Linda, Linda added her 2 bits worth, and she gave it to Christy, and Christy said, no, this isn't right, I'll add this, and she gave it to somebody else. That's how Christianity spread, the early church, first 300 years. Then Constantine made Christianity a state religion in 387, and he decided that we needed to know what we believed. So he gathered up all the people and all the pieces of paper, and what came out of that was the King James Bible, the King James Version. Now, that's fine. It's beautiful language. Some of the theology's a little sketchy. all right? But it's okay. People have used it forever and ever, are still using it in traditional religions. But also what came in that period was the whole question of lots of made-up stuff. If they didn't quite know how you got from A to B, they'd make it up. There are lines in the Bible that say things like, well, Jesus said da-da-da-da, and then there'll be a comma and it'll say, and of course he meant da-da-da-da, right? So people added, they felt free to like add stuff. And then after that, you got into the Enlightenment. And now the Enlightenment's important because it was a time of the age of reason. It's the time when we began to use our reason to discover what was really going on and to get rid of the superstition and the fear from the medieval world. So that the Bible began to take on sort of a almost, I don't know, natural law, the study of science, politics, social advances. That way it became sort of a little more, I don't know, a little less mystery, a little more scientific. And that led us into the 18th century, and in the 18th century, it had gotten too far over into the science, and so we brought it back with what is known as the quest for the historical Jesus. Now, this is all kinds of people like Schweitzer, and that they really thought there was Jesus, and they needed to prove exactly what he said and did. So that consists of academic efforts to determine what words and actions really were attributable to Jesus. Well, what came out of that then is in 1985, it's called the Jesus Seminar and the Five Gospels. Now, I started seminary in 1985, and 1987 actually, and the seminar started in 85. It was in Berkeley, so it was right there where the seminary was going on, and we were eager, and it was like, wow, they're really looking at this stuff. This is really so cool. A bunch of us got together. We're going to go over. We're going to watch the seminar interact. And they would write things, and they would have pieces of scripture that they had studied, and there'd be papers and presentations. And we went thinking, wow, it was about as interesting as watching paint dry. Okay? They did it in Greek. They talked in languages we didn't understand. It was like, I want to know the results, but I don't really want to watch it happen. The thing that's really interesting about the seminar and the seminar fellows and their research is that they would debate and debate and debate, and when the debate was finished, then they would vote on what they thought was actual Jesus words. All right? So, for example, they had a bunch of ping pong balls. They actually looked more like those balls when you do bingo, you know, those. And everybody had black ones, gray ones, and red ones. And there'd be this wholehearted debate about some phrase, and then they'd all be asked to vote, and if everything was black, then that meant, sorry, Jesus didn't have anything to do with this at all. It was just written or made up by some translator somewhere. Nice story, made the canon, but not real. So there's an example I want to use for you. There isn't an Easter that goes by that we don't have Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. And you know the scene, you have Jesus out at prayer by himself, and he says, "My Father, if it is possible, take this cup away from me. Yet it's not what I want that matters, but what you want." We all grew up with that. It's like, yeah. Sorry, it's all black. It didn't have anything to do with Jesus. He didn't say it. Somebody somewhere wrote it, thought it was a good story, maybe a good ending, maybe something they thought somebody might say, but it isn't attributable. The second one is the little gray ping pong balls. Now, gray meant that whatever was being said was floating around out in the universe. I was trying to think of a good example for us of something that's floating around. We don't really know where it all started, and it's just out there. And I couldn't really think of anything. I thought maybe fake news. You know, the stuff that just floats around out there that people use. We all know what we all mean, but it doesn't have any real, you can't really attribute it any place. So something is gray, likely out there, not attributable. So the example here is, remember, those who try to save their own life are going to lose it, but those who lose their own life for my sake are going to find it. We grew up with that, those of us that were taught this in Sunday school, that those who try to save their own lives are going to lose it. Well, it's gray, not attributable really, probably out there, probably something people thought, but not attributable to Jesus. Finally, if it's red, almost certainly said by Jesus. They have eyewitness accounts, they have papyrus, they have things that say that it's almost certainly said, and the example for that is the smallest of the mustard seed stories. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it has grown up, it is the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the sky come and roost in its branches. I love that story, and I'm so pleased that it's red, because it means it's attributable, and it means like, yeah, this is the real stuff. It's really there. So, just as a side note, amongst the findings of the Jesus Seminar Fellows, approximately 18% of the sayings and 16% of the deeds attributed to Jesus in the Gospels are authentic. Everything else is just kind of out there. Old stories, nice to have, no reason we can't use them, but don't attribute them to Jesus, because not so. So when we got to the book of John, and I decided that we were going to talk about words today, I love the first lines of John. In the beginning there was the divine word, and the divine word was there with God, and it was what God was. It was there with God from the beginning. Everything came to be by means of it. Nothing that exists came to be without it. In it was life, and this life was the light of humanity, light shining in the darkness, and the darkness did not master it. Now, this is fun. This is unity. We talk about the light all the time and how the darkness doesn't master it. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, so I get my book out and I instantly go to the book of John, and it's all black. Not attributable to Jesus. Don't forget, this is John. Up here, someplace, northern Israel, Syria. We don't know really what they were talking about at all. But my hats off and my thanks are to whoever did write that. Because all of this about the words being the light, all of that is major. So then we move on to metaphysics. What's the metaphysical meaning of word? Well, it gets a little better there. Our co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, tell us that the word is the way by which God reveals divine ideas to all humankind. Our words are the way we reveal divine ideas to all humankind. The word brings order and regularity to the movement of things. It's a divine dynamic. Our words are our energy, the self-revelation of God. And if that's true, then all original creation is carried forward by our words through our consciousness. So this is good. I'm getting confident. I like this. This is fine. And then we stop and think about the words we have heard in the last 24 hours, or the words we have thought in the last 12, or the words we have said, maybe just on our way. Did we say things that were the self-revelation of God? Have our words brought order, regularity of movement? Or have our words created chaos? Have our words created anger and pain? In the book, The Revealing Word, which is again edited and written by the Fillmores, they tell us that there are different kinds of words. So that we have the creative word. All right, the creative word is speaking to an expression of our divine idea, speaking a way of laying out our substance, a way of laying out our power, of being creative about what we think or do. Or our words can be healing, as we become so charged with spiritual energy that we're able to heal all manner of disease. Healing words, kind words, things that we can heal even at a distance. We think them, we say them, and at the end of the prayer we say, because we have said it, because we have laid it out, it is so. Healing words. And then there are reproving words, some form of authoritative command, a denial that reaches behind the pain or behind the disease. And I had trouble figuring that out for myself, and so I needed to work out some sort of example for us all. And I thought to myself, well, here's an example. You can say it sure is a good thing not to be afraid. Yep, theology's right. We teach it all the time. Good thing, don't be afraid. Or we can say, fear has no power over me. That is an authoritative word. Fear has no power over me. Feel the difference? Feel how it impacts the room? Feel how it impacts each of us? That is an authoritative word. Words, the vehicle by which our ideas make themselves manifest. Words that have in them the very realization of perfect, everywhere present, divine life. And it gets better because we have spiritual words that live in our consciousness. The word or thought gives way to a higher principle of being. Again, I needed an example to really understand that. Words that give way to a higher principle of being. And I struggled all week trying to figure out an example, and I finally, all that kept coming to mind was the words we use in raising children. When I was a girl, when I was little, I was raised by my great aunts until I was 6 years old. And if I was sitting on a couch and I was fidgety or moving around like little kids do, up and down off the couch, kind of back and forth, you know how kids are. My Aunt Ruth would turn to me and she would say, Medora, sit like a lady. That meant no nonsense, hands in lap, ankles crossed, seen but not heard. Medora, sit like a lady. Then my dad married the Army captain, and I've regaled you before with my wonderful stories of being raised in a paramilitary family. And when I entered a room, I had to wait for permission to be seated. So I would enter a room, and sooner or later, she would say, you may be seated. That meant the same thing. Meant no fidgeting, hands in lap, ankles crossed, seen but not heard. You may be seated. So my models, and I had my own children, were Medora, sit like a lady, or you may be seated. I didn't want to raise my children that way, and I didn't know what to say. And I did find a book, and I'm sorry I can't attribute it because I couldn't find it, but it wasn't Dr. Spock, all right? All I know is that it taught me that I could use my words differently. I learned to say, tables are not for climbing on. We climb trees or jungle gyms, not tables. I learned to give permission. I learned that I could use my words for a higher consciousness. Instead of saying, get off that table, I could say, tables are not for climbing on. We climb on trees, jungle gyms, other things. You hear the difference of the impact of what we say? I know all of you have your own stories of things that were said to you throughout your life, things that we may still believe. It's the words we use, the impact of those words. And then there's one more piece to this. We are not listening to each other these days. It doesn't matter what words you use. It doesn't matter how careful you are. We are yelling and shouting and carrying on over each other because I know I'm right and you're wrong and I don't have to listen to you because it's all fake news. And we are not listening. And here, we teach ourselves to listen. At the beginning of every book study, we have a sheet of how to listen. And so I'm thinking that that's important for us to remember this morning. The how do we listen to each other? So here's some examples. You are not listening to me if you cut me off before I have finished speaking. You are not listening to me if you're dying to tell me something else and it just can't wait. You are not listening to me if you start telling me your experience, making mine seem unimportant. And finally, here's the big one. You are not listening to me if you continuously watch your cell phone and communicate with someone else during our conversation. If you are listening to me, we come quietly into one another's private world, and we let each of us be ourselves. You are listening to me if we really try to understand one another, even if one of us is not making much sense. You are listening to me if we allow one another the dignity of making our own decisions, even though we think they may be wrong. And finally, you are listening to me when we give one another room to discover for ourselves what is really going on. Words. In the beginning, there was the divine word, and the divine word was there with God, and it was God. It was there with God from the beginning. Everything came to be by means of it, and nothing exists or came to be without it. In it was life, and this life is the light of humanity, light shining in the darkness, and the darkness did not master it. Here soon, this afternoon, we're going to have Reader's Theater, and Christy was kind enough to show me that in the Independent Journal this morning, in the Lifestyles section, is a very big picture and a very big spread of our very own Ken, I always get his last name wrong, Ken Kosloff and Deborah Warren, and I don't see them here yet. Deborah Warren is the granddaughter of Earl Warren, and it was her memoirs that Cindy got access to help build the play. So I'm so tickled because here's a picture, here's all about our Reader's Theater, here's all about what's happening today. We made the front page, you guys. So hooray for us. Thank you, Christy, for making this happen. We're pleased. And I want you to understand that the reason this is all tied in with a talk about words is the three words that were in this event that is happening this afternoon are the three words separate but equal. No more violent, no more racist, no more horrible words exist in combination on this earth than separate but equal. Because if we are all one, we are all equal. We are never separate. We are all one, always. The very words we use are the vehicle through which our divine ideas make themselves manifest. Words that have in them the very realization of perfect, everywhere present, divine life. Our words make a difference. Let us listen to one another. And so it is. Amen. I want us to come together now and say our denial and our affirmation. But I want you to think a little bit first about the denial, because it talks about thinking. So as we say it together, let's think about it. For not everything that comes into your brain has to pour out your mouth. Together, ready? I do not speak without thinking first. Could we say that again? Let's say it with like we maybe mean it. Ready? I do not speak without thinking first. And the affirmation is, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word is God. And so it is. As our ushers come forward, this is the time of giving and receiving. This is a time of giving not only our tithe, but our treasure, our talents, the gifts, all of the things that we bring to this community that makes it possible for us to go forth into the world and make the world a better place. Thank you.
Just as we give, so we receive. Richly we live in one golden wheel. There is nothing that we can lack. We give from love, love gives it back. Just as we give, so we receive. Richly we live in one golden wheel. There is nothing that we can lack. We give from love, love gives it back.
So our last song is a song that was written by Ricky Byers, and I said first service that I didn't know if we could sing it as well. We kicked butt. It's called Freedom, Freedom.
Freedom, yes indeed. Freedom to live and be who and what and all that we are. as we raise our hands to help with the blessing, let us remember that this is all that we give, all that we are, all that we have. We are generous and we're loving, so please raise your hand and say, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Rev Medora, for a wonderful talk today. Our words definitely make a difference, don't they? It's something that we teach here at Unity, and it's something I also teach in San Quentin, the power of our words and being mindful of what we're saying and thinking and how important that is. And the listening part is really the greatest gift we can give each other if we are able to listen to each other. And I've had men inside San Quentin just come up to me and say, thank you for teaching me how to listen. It's improved my family, it's improved my communication skills. So just, take the time to listen. It's the greatest gift we can give each other. So our third core commitment is to serve. Please say this with me. We serve Spirit, community, and the world with love, joy, and a sense of adventure. I'd now like to invite Linda Anderson up here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Anderson Henry. I've been a member of Unity in Marin since 2002. And I'm an associate member of the board of directors. I asked to share about our Spring into Summer fundraiser. It's one of two fundraisers that we do over the course of the year. We do the Faith in Action fundraiser in November, and Spring into Summer is our spring fundraiser, even though it's summer. And if you've come to the table, if you've come to our gala, Spring into Summer fundraiser is that. It's just a different way of doing your fundraiser this year. So a couple weeks ago, Reverend Tim was talking about imagination gone wild. And in 2005, we came together as a community and imagined our vision for 2020. And what do you know? 2020 is around the corner. I think it's time for us to create a new vision. And I really appreciate that Reverend Tim's really bringing kind of seeds of the new vision that's emerging, about really making a bigger impact in our communities through social justice, in our Spanish-speaking communities, with our youth and family, and really expanding on a global basis, really bringing the message of unity to the world. And the other one, I think that's really important now too, is really about interfaith, really expanding our impact and sense of respect for the different faiths of the world. He also talked about the importance of investing in what we believe in. And if you believe in the community of Unity in Marin, if you believe in our message, our vision, our mission, if Unity in Marin, the community, the teachings have impacted your life, I really want to invite you to invest in the Spring into Summer fundraiser. And the board wanted to come up with some really fun ways to thank you all for your investment. And so we have something for everybody. There's raffle prizes, and so for under $200, there's a raffle for a Costco membership. And for under $400, there's a raffle for your very own reserved parking spot for a year. And for under $600, 2 theater tickets for a show of your choice. Anyone want to go see Hamilton? And for under $800, a sunset cruise for 2 on the bay. And for under $1,000, a blue balloon ride for 2 over the Napa Valley. And for those of us who are called to invest at $1,000 or more, Unity in Marin is going to host a lovely, elegant dinner at the Spinnaker Restaurant in Sausalito. If you've never been there, the views of the bay are just spectacular. And the cool thing about whatever, whether it's the raffle or the dinner, whatever level that you feel called to invest in, you get a raffle ticket in each of the raffles below the level that you're investing in. So there's a ripple effect, right? And so by investing in Unity and Marin, you're really supporting the ripple effect of all of what Unity stands for, the message, the teachings, the impact, on our community, on the country, and globally as well. So James, my husband, and I are stretching. We contribute to Faith in Action, and we really wanted to step up and invest in the Spring Into Fund fundraiser. And we hope to see you at the dinner, and really want to invite also our love streamers that if you feel called to invest in our community, you can go to the donate page on our website. So what investment, what impact do each of you want to make? And I will be out in the courtyard after the services. Bring your friends and check out all the different raffles, and I'd love to help you invest in making a bigger impact. Thank you.
Just a couple more things. The next slide is about our Loving Kindness Initiative. And the small print says it's an active consciousness of compassion expressing through our beloved Unity and Marin community. They're looking for more volunteers, so if you're interested in doing that, sign up at the hub. Our flower sponsors for today was Chris Slate. Thank you so much. Hospitality sponsors, Ron Corral and Deborah Schlee. And our beautiful flowers today were made by Lee Young, so we appreciate all of that. And if I could have the prayer chaplains please stand at this time. Our prayer chaplains are here to support you with any challenge, with any joy. They're here to pray with you in confidentiality, and they're just wonderful earth angels in our community to help you to anchor into the essence of your being. Thank you, prayer chaplains, for the gift of your sacred service. So this morning, some of our kiddos did the stepping up thing, which means they go to the next class. And so that's what this slide shows. A couple of the older kids are going off to college and some of the younger ones, but we're just so happy. Again, part of our family ministry. So now if you would please stand, and we'll say the prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And if you would take the hand of the person next to you, we're going to sing the peace song, and we're also going to be going out this door today, not the back door. Please don't use the back door. They're setting up for an event. The event's back that way. So we're going to head out this way today. All right, let's do our peace song. Have a great Sunday, everyone.
let there be peace on earth. Amen.
I woke up this morning with my mind. Yes, I woke up this morning with my mind. I woke up this morning with my mind. Hallelujah. 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 Walking